In 1750 BCE, Babylon was a dense, volatile city square where newly conquered nomads, Akkadians, and Amuru speakers collided. Previous Mesopotamian kings had ruled homogeneous populations with shared local customs. Hammurabi, however, managed a cultural powder keg with no common foundation of behavior. Without shared values, minor disputes over grain or trade could instantly escalate into violent blood feuds that threatened to dismantle the empire. Hammurabi had completed the military conquest, but preventing his new territory from tearing itself apart required a universal directive to force social order. To bridge this cultural divide, Hammurabi erected a 7-foot-tall black diorite stele in public view. This carving at the top of the monument shows Shamash, the sun god and god of justice, handing a measuring rod and ring to Hammurabi. This imagery bypassed local tribal leaders by framing these 282 laws as the indisputable, preordained will of the cosmos. By tying his law to the sun god, Hammurabi defined civil crimes as acts of heresy against the universe itself. This legal framework relied on lex talionis, the principle of exact retributive justice. An exact one-to-one punishment acted as a strict cap on vengeance. This mathematical logic severed the cycle of tribal retaliation by ensuring the penalty never exceeded the original crime. Law 229 illustrates this extreme accountability. If a shoddy house collapses and kills its owner, the builder is executed. When evidence was missing, Hammurabi used the River Ordeal. A bound suspect was thrown into the Euphrates, and the rushing water decided their fate. This brutal exactness functioned as a calculated formula to maintain peace in a low-trust, explosive society. Mathematical equality under the law only applied when the victim and offender occupied the same social class. The code established a 3-tiered class system: awilum, elites; mushkenum, commoners; and wardum, the enslaved. Physical retribution, like an eye for an eye, occurred strictly within the top tier. If an elite blinded a commoner, the penalty changed. The law allowed elites to pay a monetary fine for harming lower classes, protecting the upper tier from the physical violence they inflicted on others. This system was more severe than earlier Sumerian codes, like the Code of Hammurabi, which relied primarily on fines for most crimes. Hammurabi's code codified a rigid social hierarchy, ensuring the conquered classes remained legally and mathematically subordinate to the elites. Hammurabi carved these 282 laws into a towering stone monolith, within a society where almost no one could read. The dense rows of cuneiform text covering the lower half of the stele projected an aura of complex, unyielding order to the illiterate public. The physical weight and permanence of the stone signaled that the king's order was an immovable fact of life. In the epilogue, Hammurabi calls himself the Good Shepherd, protecting the weak, a paternalistic frame for his absolute authoritarian control. Although the Elamites eventually stole the stele as a trophy of war, its framework influenced the later Assyrian codes and the biblical Mosaic law. The Code of Hammurabi used the threat of cosmic violence and mathematical retribution to forge a unified civilization out of chaos.